Welcome to Property Talk from Louise's Lounge. My name is Louise Heatley and I'm Managing Director of Exclusive Links Real Estate with over 18 years in the real estate industry. Through our podcast series, it's an opportunity for us to bring you some Dubai real estate market insights, discuss some interesting topics, have some guest attendees, and it's also an opportunity for you to meet some of our team. On today's episode, I'm delighted to finally welcome my business partner and co-owner of Exclusive Links, Zarah Evans. And when I say finally, although Zarah works on every podcast episode from behind the scenes in Scotland, today in Dubai, we thought it's a great opportunity to get us together and share with the audience a little bit about our winning combination. Together, Zarah and I have over 41 years experience in the real estate industry, and this episode is more an internal focus on Exclusive Links, the highlights and the challenges of 2023 and the year ahead in 2024. Zarah, finally here.
I'm here. Yes, absolutely. The snow's falling at home, so yes, come out
enjoying the lovely weather of Dubai.
Enjoying the lovely weather. Great to get over and put some names to faces of some of the staff that I've not met actually in person in the office. And yeah, just good to catch up with you, you know, on the couch again.
And it's funny when we look at the podcast, isn't it? And the concept of where the podcast came from.
Yeah.
And that we're back again.
Well, we started the podcast actually after I had left. I left in the April 2019. So we started the podcast after that, and I think we sort of played around with a few concepts and we came up with this Property Talk from Louise's Lounge. And I think a lot of that was drawn from the fact that we wanted it to be homely. We wanted it to be very strong, very female, obviously centered around you. And I think it needed to be sort of a reminder to us about the times we used to curl up on the couch together, so to speak, with a glass in our hand normally, not a cup of tea and a glass of water.
It's too early for the wine today.
Yeah, we would just chew the fat on the industry and what was happening in the business and, you know, staff issues, as there's always staff issues. And yeah, I think from that chat sort of was born the concept and the idea of Property Talk from Louise's Lounge. And I think we've just, well, we're going to be starting off 2024 with episode 30, which is this episode.
I think also when we looked at the podcast, if we look at sort of our winning combination, as we announced in the introduction, strengths and weaknesses, and you were always the one that was happy to go out in front of the camera, me not so much. And of course, in 2019, when you went to...
I threw you out there.
You did throw me out there. But as we're always telling everybody, fight the fears, get out your comfort zone, accept and go forward with challenges. And I think for me, it was like, okay, yes, let's do this podcast. Out of my comfort zone completely.
It was, yeah.
But it had to be in a way that I felt would be more natural, as opposed to sitting in front of a very produced TV
Absolutely
office.
And I think we've had a great combination of guests, so we've had a good selection. Some you've known previously, some you've not known until they've walked into your home to record the podcast. So, you know, I think that regardless of how well you've known the guests, there's always been a level of comfort and familiarity. And certainly from behind the scenes, when I'm doing the editing and looking at it and writing the captions and so on, to me, you're a born natural in front of the camera. And if we're talking about strengths and weaknesses, your intros and how you remember your lines, that was never a strength of mine. So you see, you were born to be out there.
Okay, well, thank you. Not so much. But it's funny you say about all the guests coming on. What I always find quite interesting is the mix of them, and some are so confident. They, you know, they've done the cameras, they've done the interviews, they've done panels, but there's a lot that are more in the professional, behind the scenes, that have the knowledge, have the experience, amazing at what they do, but they hate the cameras. And I'm like, ignore the cameras.
Absolutely. And do you know what? That is a comfort zone in itself. You know, people talk. I mean, you know, a lot of people take public speaking classes or tuition and so on. And I mean, certainly after I left in 2019, where I would be lucky to see, you know, people, because we live in a remote location in Scotland, I'd be lucky to see somebody week on week. So you do, it's not losing your confidence, but you lose that natural flow of putting yourself out there. So it's always a faster treadmill. Come back to Dubai and it's like get on it and start running, and you're in front of this camera and you're in front of that camera and the staff, and but
it's good to have you back as well, because I think while we work together every day and it's a remote, Zoom calls, email communications, however we do our business together, but I think when you come back, it's again, we see the different strengths and weaknesses, which we can hold our hands up with our strengths as well as our weaknesses.
Do we have weaknesses?
Well, not really. We're not going to share them today, obviously. Not telling anybody the weaknesses.
Yeah.
But it's also, do you know what? I do accept weaknesses. I hate the telephone.
100%.
I absolutely hate the telephone. The telephone for me is for my WhatsApp, my social, my email checking, various things, because I want to be person to person.
Yeah.
But I have to use that and change it to a strength by saying meetings.
Yes.
I need to get meetings. So I do
that face
a
to
lot of
face.
meetings.
Yeah.
That I would prefer to do than on the phone.
Well, my meetings, as you know, now are all over Zoom, and I do tend to sort of open my Zoom link in the morning. It's almost like a virtual office where people then just using that same link pop in and out. But certainly. I mean, being in the office is fabulous, and it's great for you and I to knit together again. Being in the office at the same time, and I hope that the staff feel that energy as well. I think one of the obvious things for me is when I walk into the office, and I haven't actually been in the office for almost 2 years.
That was the first time you've seen it since we did it all out, and
I
saw
know,
the drawings and
in
the
Motor
plans
City,
and,
So, but I'm very used to my isolation, the people not walking into my office. I mean, yesterday morning we walked in, and I think you had three or four people in your office already before you'd even sat down. And, that is something that I've learnt very well to not have to cope with. But I think having that space, it puts me in a great place to be creative, to actually, come up with some concepts that we want to run with, whether it be concepts that our customers see or our staff see, or concepts for the business and for us. So I think having the freedom to be a little bit more creative as I'm looking out over the River Tay makes it a little bit easier.
It's like our team and our customers have the best of both worlds. You're focused, you're creative, you're all about the content. I'm the headless chicken.
No, you're the policies and procedures.
I am policies and procedures.
Always been great at policies, procedures. Give you that, and it's
whenever there's writing to do, I'm like, I'll do the policies, the procedures. You do the nice content, the fluffy.
And it flows a lot easier because you haven't got those interruptions. And our marketing team often say that as well, that when they're in the office and they've got staff that are coming to interrupt, and they're trying to get in that creative zone, it's difficult when you're trying to edit a video or a podcast, and you're trying to remember where you are, and then someone comes up and asks you a question because their email is not working or something like that. So it does sort of play with that creative space a little bit, but
it's all time management, and that's why I started doing the Wednesday work from home day, because it was the one time I didn't have the interruption.
We always talked about that, didn't we, before I left, that we would have a day each working from home just to catch up on things and do a lot of that. And I think, that can't be underplayed. And I think we've spoken about this before. And I know this episode is all about the winning combination. And I think that, without sort of, shouting out about ourselves, but at the end of the day, I think we're very lucky to have each other in business, whereby, whilst now we've got all the miles between us, you can call upon me, I can call upon you.
Absolutely.
And whether that to be finishing an article because we've got to run away or leave the office quickly, or, I've got to go and do something, or whether it be, going on leave or whatever it may be, we're there for each other.
Even just the sounding board sometimes, isn't it? It's to communicate with each other.
I love it when you're travelling home at the end of the day and you're in the car and you'll just send me a long voice message. We call it the voice vent. So, you'll just send me the message on the way home and I don't actually need to respond because you're just venting.
No, I'm just like, right, vent over. So by the time I walk in the house, I'm like, oh, good, it's great. But you have to find your ways. I think, we're in high stressful jobs, all of our team are, and it's time and it's, as you say, disruptions, and you have to find your way, your coping mechanisms to start afresh every day and keep the episode. Because looking at 2023, looking at last year and obviously looking at challenges, we face lots of challenges daily. What do you think you've encountered in 2023 that you felt was a bit more?
I think probably more of our more recent is this balance between, being conscious about what we should be doing and actually the practicality of actually running the business. So the QR code and the introduction of the QR code is a fine example of that. So, obviously an off-plan project gets launched, and, we want to get it out into the market, quickly. Obviously we do our own due diligence runs, but it may not have a QR code. So, there's that big difference between, selling now or coming soon. But, we want to say it's selling now because technically it is. But unless we've got that QR code, consciously, we're not supposed to be, putting the project out there and publicly advertising
and
it.
they do it fast. And these QR codes, we had to change our website development. Obviously, the portals do a lot for us as well, but generally for our website, for our marketing processes, and we had to do it quickly.
Well, I think the QR codes, if I remember the memorandum correctly, it was all about, public printing. So like in our shop window in Dubai Marina, we're very conscious of all the QR codes for the properties, obviously on all of our social media ads and so on. But we actually went a step further and actually put the QR codes on all of our website listings. Which was not actually a requirement as of now, but we did think that would come.
It will come, so do it. Kill two birds.
Yeah, and I mean, we're great advocates of transparency in the marketplace. We're great advocates of maturity in the market. So, I mean, I think it's great. And I think, things like that against our listings just further support our quality as a company and the quality of our listings.
Transparency, we will welcome anything that helps the audience see legitimate listings.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So I think that's it, is that, that's something that I found, on the social side and on the marketing side is, where's that QR code? We haven't got it yet, but we want to get it out there. So it's that conscious side. And of course, I've seen you battling with Emiratization in the office and
Emiratization, CRM. I think
Yeah.
that was obviously more my scope with being where I'm based and hands-on with the team to develop. But yeah, the Emiratization, welcome. We would love to have a lot of UAE nationals working for the company, whether it be real estate or ourselves, they're not in abundance, and we're lucky to have a few of our team that do contribute. They have remote working environments, office environments. We kind of adapt to what they need to make it work for us as a company.
Absolutely.
And yeah, again, I understand why the government do things in order
But there's the practical side of it, isn't it?
Yeah, there is the practical of our industry and the positions available that we can offer that is going to encourage and be competitive enough within the other industries that, are local.
I think also the dynamics, even just the basic dynamics in the office. When you're employing Emiratis, you've also got to be very considerate that the dynamics may be slightly different. And, that is something that you balance, day on.
Yeah. It's to always have a team where there's no politics. There's a lot of different cultures, a lot of different nationalities, but everybody gets on as a family. And I think we're very careful of not just fill in a quota, but actually making sure.
We've never been a numbers company, have we? It's all been about the names and the people.
Organic, a growth. And yeah, I think also we look at our CRM. You've always got to be competitive. It's the most competitive industry I see in Dubai. Over 5,000 agencies, you know, there's maybe 25,000 registered, but we know there's a lot of more agents in the market while they're undergoing their training or what have you. And it's hugely competitive, the population and the land, you know.
Everybody talks about property in Dubai.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter if you're in the queue, in the supermarket, out for dinner with everybody at the table. Has nothing to do with working in real estate. Property always comes up.
And we've got to always be, you know, innovative. We've got to be ahead of the game. We've got to have initiative. We've got to try and do everything better. And it's constant.
Yeah.
And even things with our CRM, we've got to try and make our team more efficient, life easier, more productive. And it's tech. It's absolutely tech, you know.
I think this is a challenge that not only do we face, but a challenge that the whole industry, and in fact, let's not even say the real estate industry, anybody who manages or has a sales force, it's always a difficult thing. How do you get salespeople to update leads in the CRM? You know, they want to be out on the road and, you know, they don't like to be tied down to a computer. And obviously you've worked very hard to get our CRM as customer, but as staff friendly.
It kind of goes hand in hand. If you can make automations, if you can stop anyone from dropping the ball, it's going to help your team productivity, efficiency, and that's obviously the customer service, a byproduct of that. So you start with your people. And we've always believed this. Let's look after our own. Everything else takes care of itself. And I think that's maybe one of our unique.
Isn't that what we used to say? People over profit. We love profit. Don't get me wrong. But, you know, we won't do it at the expense. So we won't be chasing that at the expense of our staff or our customers. I mean, you know, there has been times that we've walked away from business if it hasn't been right for us or for the company. But tell me about this new WhatsApp solution you're doing.
So again, it's all about fast, quick automations. So now we have a system which pre-qualifies our clients on behalf of the agent. So even if there's just 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock in the morning, there is communication with that client immediate. It also gives us a little bit of background as to the client's requirements and who they are, again, to prioritize leads. They can have conversations with our bot, so to speak. I'll have to name the bot. Anybody wants to name the bot, let me know. And it's all very linked with the CRM you mentioned before, updating. You're only as good if you use the tools you are given.
And we're only as good as the data that we have.
Exactly. And you know, putting in links that takes our team, they click, it opens, it's there. They maybe have to scroll, but they see.
Press a button. Don't ask me for any more.
I was thinking back to 18 years when I was in the industry. I would have loved all of this. I would have loved the premiums and the signatures and the HOTs and the portals. There was no such thing as portals in my nowadays.
We're always looking at enhancing, aren't we? I mean, we've just added the Polish page also to our website to support a couple of our Polish-speaking client managers that have got a good
big market coming in.
Absolutely,
a lot of that Eastern European markets and all the Russians market is kind of lulled, we've seen over the last 6 months. Definitely.
So we've got our Russian page, we've got our Chinese page, our Arabic page, Polish and French. So, you know, that's great. And
to meet the
I think we've got one more we can put on there. So, let's see who...
Absolutely. So let's talk about this year. Let's talk about 2024. We love to strategize. You're in Dubai. We've obviously got some plans. Now, we don't want to give too much away.
No, absolutely not. Certainly not a lot of the things that we've been talking about over the last week. And, I think, you know, it's about us continuing to evolve and, you know, continuing to connect.
Get Zara out into Dubai a lot more.
It's far too fast for me. You know, can you not see? I've turned grey since I was here last. I'm much more comfortable at home with my Ugg boots on than my high heels tottering around Dubai. But, you know, at the end of the day, I think, you know, 2024, I think there's some exciting things happening.
There's also some changes in the market, both exciting and both changes everybody's feeling. Like the
Yeah.
excitement, what have we been seeing lately in the excitement in the market?
Well, I mean, what I've seen is Ras Al Khaimah. I
Yeah.
mean, for sure. I mean, we were down visiting some friends on the weekend, and the landscape there has completely changed. Our friend lives in Al Hamra, looking out over towards Marjan Island. You know, last week we had the EMARS first development being launched in Ras Al Khaimah.
Sold out.
Ras Al Khaimah, yeah. We've got a very good friend who works in the market down there, and yeah,
Yeah.
exciting times down in Ras Al Khaimah.
And what I see in the market this year, and I think it's a strength for us, and it's going to dictate a lot of our plans for 2024. I do think we're going to see maybe a little bit of a change in the market. And the reason I say that is I'm not going to throw out stats and things, but just in very general terms. Over the last quarter of 2023, Q4 2023, we saw a change in, I think there's been a bit of an impasse between the buyers and the sellers. It's at the top of this curve.
Yeah.
The interest
Even
rates
slightly tipping over, slightly.
potentially on some
Yeah.
areas for sure, or it needs to. And you know, those interest rates are getting nearer and nearer, up at the 7%. I remember back in, I think my first mortgage, it was over 7%, but we haven't seen those rates for a very long time. And I think it's got to the point where some buyers have just said,
They're holding out, aren't they, to see
yeah,
where it might come down to
Yeah.
before they meet again.
and it's a turn in the year, and
Yeah.
it's a January, and that sometimes changes things. I think people are just like, let me sit and wait. And we've seen that with sudden increase in the rental inquiries, where people are like, okay, let's go back to the renting, and a lot of handovers due this year. I think that again would bring in a lot of rent. So I do think they'll see a bit of a price adjustment. I don't particularly feel there's any crash coming. I don't particularly see that.
There's no cause for concern.
No,
it's just managing
yeah.
your business.
I think sometimes it's easier when it's a bit more of a balanced market, and properties that maybe have been that little bit overpriced
Yeah.
will potentially, they might drop. But I think anything, you know, Dubai is still very, very well priced globally in the market. So I think we'll just see a little bit of settling.
I think also, I mean, you know, considering how many peaks and troughs you and I have witnessed over the years,
I think it's our third or fourth where the
yeah,
market's gone
up and down.
Yeah.
And, you know, when you've been there through that, it's about being reactive. And I think that's actually, you were talking about strengths and weakness before. I think collectively that's one of our strengths, is actually reacting when it maybe does get a little bit tougher. We get tougher as well.
Yeah.
And, you know, we've always been, you know, very conscious about organic growth in our company rather than these big spurts. What I've found, you know, because we've been, you know, together for many of these peaks and troughs that have taken place in the industry, you know, we've always, and maybe it's sort of our female instinct, you know, behind all of this, that when it gets tougher, we get tougher.
Yeah.
And I think that stood us in good
Yeah.
form.
We don't take things lying down. We actually sometimes like these challenges because it makes us get up, stand up, fight. I think, and that's the difference. It's the fight. And I think that goes into, you know, learning curves over the years. It's like one of my learning curves throughout the industry, whether it was back 18 years ago or now, is yes, you have to be aware of what your competitors are doing, but I think you have to never allow it to negatively impact you, to lose your focus,
Absolutely.
to hold you back. What you have to do is always drive forward, always have your own focus, almost block out anything negativity, because the minute you can't keep up. You can't keep up with all the competition. And I find sometimes I just go into my, right, let's just focus at exclusive links, not think about what everybody else is doing.
You can't be influenced because, you know, you spend more time worried about what other people are doing rather than what we're doing ourselves.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's not about being blinkered. It's just about not losing your focus and, you know,
negatively impacting.
Yeah, I mean, we've always been quite good at setting our plans for the year ahead and sticking to that and ticking off our to-do list as the months roll by. And we're lucky, I think, with our team of managers as well. They've all got short-term plans, sort of the 3-month plan, but they've also got the annual plan, that what they want to achieve for their branches or for their departments before the end of the year. And, you know, I think that's key, is remaining focused. And even if there is a slight shake or waver in the market, it doesn't matter. Keep focused and keep going where you want to go.
If you've got your strong team, if you've got your strong brand, if you've got your longevity and loyalty from the clients, you can absolutely ride any storm. Not to say I don't think there's going to be a storm ahead. I think we're all looking forward to the influx of properties coming in the market this year. We've obviously battled the challenge last year was the lack of stock, you know, projects selling out so quickly, you were hard to get.
So, you know, what we saw a lot of last year was a lot of branded names coming in. You know, we saw your Emaar going to Iraq. We saw Aldar moving into Dubai. We saw a lot of these branded names, high-end branded names coming into the marketplace. And, that's...
They do their research. There's a demand. They don't just go off, let's launch something for the sake of it. They know, you know, that their demand's there, because at the end of the day, they want to sell their product. So so over the years, obviously you've been in real estate even longer than myself. But what's your key learning thing?
Yeah, I mean, okay, so what have I learnt in my 23 years in the industry? I think so many people used to think and be under the misconception that it was a man's world, and, you know, I was in a Middle Eastern country, and then how I would deal in business as being a female. And I think what I learned is to not let that put up any boundaries at all. And do you know what? I've only ever been met with a respect here. I've only ever been met with, you know, inclusion. And at the end of the day, it's certainly not been any difference. And I noticed very much last year at the Property Finder Awards, there's so many more females that were in the industry.
Noticing the
glamorous. Do you know what? I think they stand out. You've got a load of men standing there in their black and white dicky bows, and then you've got these stunning Dubai women that are in, you know, beautiful frocks and just looking a masterpiece. And, you know, they just pop, they just stand out. And
I think this is why we went into that the She program
in
2023, launched by Property Finder's initiative, I think, because we're an advocate of supporting women. We've had a lot of our ladies on the couch before, which has been great, or friendly competitors, so to speak. And it's that, you know, we want to do what we can, like you say, to make sure women know they can do it if that's what they
absolutely
want to do.
And I think women they're great to pull together. I mean, like, you know, I don't think in the 2011 we merged our businesses together, and since that time you and I have never had a crossword. We've never disagreed. We might have challenged each other or thrown an idea back and forth, but we've never found miscommunication or anything like that. And I think that's where women pull really, you know, well together in the industry. And, you know, we've got a couple of groups that we're members of. And, you know, I see also the women in the industry, we're also shouting out about each other as well, aren't we? And, you know, I think that's great to see. So it's, watch out, guys, we're taking over. And I mean, fantastic for us the end of last year to win our Women in Leadership.
We can't affect the highlights that we've done, absolutely. Property Finder Award 2023.
Well, that was certainly worth flying in quickly for, and that was really good. And I think, you know, that sort of flows on from when you're saying, what have I learned in the industry? And I think that is to do, as I say. And, you know, if I am going to, whether it be lead or whether I'm going to, whether it be to my staff, whether it be to my children, you know, if I say I'm going to do something with my customers, if I say I'm going to do it, do it. And, you know, I think that, you know, owning up, you know, getting it done, breaking down the boundaries if you need to. And, I think that has been something that I've learned get on and do it. Work hard. I mean, you know.
I think for me, it might sound like a complete cliche, and I've probably said this before, but I absolutely rule by it to this day. We have a lot of challenges. There's decisions, sometimes right, sometimes wrong. You know, when people need to move on and they resign, and then something else comes at you, and there's so many challenges. And I think you have to try and get into the mindset of take it as an opportunity. Challenge equals opportunity.
Absolutely.
And spin it into a good way. So, you know, when somebody resigns their position and you're like, oh gosh, and it's an integral position, and you're like, what do we do? What do we do? Not to say it actually, you know, I hate anybody really.
Yeah, absolutely. No, we both do.
Have moved
but
on.
sometimes it gives us an opportunity. I mean, I remember years and years ago when I left a position at Qantas in Australia, been with them for 12 years, very corporate. And I remember thinking to myself that, you know, when I am not working here on Monday because I was leaving to have my first child and move to Dubai. And I remember thinking, you know, QF1 will not take off without me next week. I mean, really? And I mean, you do have that idea, don't you? But I'm sorry, you know, it presents an opportunity where you find someone who may be refreshing or stronger, and, you know,
I think it goes back to, you know, not that we have that many people leaving us, thankfully. I think
Yeah.
we've had a few 15-year awards
we've
in
got
the company.
5 people that now have been
Yeah.
with us for 15 years plus.
Again, a highlight last year, was it 2? It was 3 staff. 3 staff, I think, last year hit their 15 years.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, exactly what you've said. It's trying to find the silver lining. And I say that when people lose deals, when something happens, when you make the wrong decision, turn it round. Find whatever you can and make it a good point. Don't end it on a negative, because they build up, and lots of negatives keep building up. And
Absolutely.
I think you have to always, whatever challenge it is.
And you've been so involved in this she for she. So you've been sort of like, you know, women all around you. You've had your mentee that you've been working with. So, and like you say, we've got a lot of females that work with us in the office that come to us for guidance or, you know, a friendly chat or whatever. So, you know, it's always nice, I think, when you're dinosaurs in the industry like we are, to be able to, well, I am anyway.
I'm not agreeing with that statement.
I'm the dinosaur in the industry, maybe. But, you know, I think it's great to be able to share your experience. And, you know, I've always used this word, you know, even walking through the office this week, you know, we've had some new starters, and all I'm saying to them is look, learn, listen. You know, you can never stop learning, and look at what people are doing. Listen to them on the phone, you know, and this is not stuff that you're learning in our classroom training, but this is what you're learning when you're actually out on the floor. Look at how people react to situations, look at how they interact with the dynamics in the office, hear them on the phone, and I think that's always...
It's challenge yourself as well. What I also see this year that might happen in the market, there's been an abundance, you know, of people coming into real estate, shifting companies or new into the industry. And I think if you don't look, listen, learn, if you don't work hard, all the things that we've collectively talked about, if you don't keep your focus, remove anything negativity that's coming at you, and know your competition for positive ways. If you do that, then you'll survive it. If you don't, I think we're going to see a shift in the number of agents this year that maybe did well despite of that, because of the market. And I think we might see a little
I think
change.
Also, you know, it's finding the right fit, isn't it? And I mean, so many times when I used to be here and I used to be involved in the interview stage, you know, sometimes I would come down and see you in your office afterwards and you say, oh, how did that interview go? And I would say, well, do you know what? You know, we would take them, but I don't actually want to take them. I actually want them to say, we want to work for you.
Yeah.
Because, you know, it is a two-way thing. And it's not only about us saying and putting an offer on the table. It's as important for them to consider how we will help them progress and, you know, be successful in the industry. I mean, that's what we want, don't we? Success stories.
It's the company ethos, I think the company environment as a whole. You know, every real estate company offers similar things, but it's what are you needing as an individual? Do you need that corporate in at 9, work till 6, very, very high KPIs? I think we've been that more organic, nurturing, again, because we're women.
Yeah, absolutely. Our babies.
Yes, they're our babies,
Our babies.
our family. And it is that nurturing, and it is that hands-on, it is the door open. You know, it's not, you know, do a deal or out the door, or, you know.
Or don't do a deal and you're out the door. Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
yeah.
absolutely. It's about looking at and encouraging them to do the next one. So, yeah, so talking about the next one, we've got, I don't know who we've got coming up as guests for the podcast for 24.
Oh, wow. Well,
for this year.
Everybody will
So-
have to tune in and see who we've
Yeah,
got for us.
absolutely. Yeah, we've got a few selections for the first part of 24. So it's nice to see, and I think, you know, it's nice to be able to see from behind the scenes how the podcast is evolving and everything. So yeah, I guess now we can turn the cameras off and kick off our heels.
Now we can get the heels off and get the
take your
sloppies
jacket
on.
off,
Yes.
take off the microphones, and get back to chatting.
Yeah, no, it's good.
Yeah.
It's well, we did a Christmas one a couple of years ago.
We
do
did.
a podcast here, but
Yeah,
we didn't do it just.
I think I
get the
tried to
team.
forget that one as we were singing Christmas carols between
Yes.
us all, and
I don't know why.
I don't have a singing voice.
Please don't make us sing every year.
No, I won't make.
No, a lot of our team love to have a sing song, so why not? But
Yeah.
no, good to have you on the couch.
Yeah, thank you.
Again,
Yeah.
albeit it's in front of the
Now,
cameras.
what the hardest thing is going to be is actually being on this side of the camera. I've actually got to edit this as well with
See, I don't
our
watch them.
team. No, well, you don't watch them, and I
can't.
scrutinise them.
Yeah.
And, you know, especially when there's ladies on the couch, I'm always trying to be very conscious that we've got them, you know, the best angles, and, you know, that the hair's not out of place and all of those sorts of things. So
Now you're going to have to look at it
I'm
very
going to listen to my
objectively.
own voice, which is I just hate doing. But
You do a great job as usual.
Yeah.
Well, thank
great
you
to
for
be
being
back
here.
in Dubai, and absolutely, thank you.
Let's do it again.
Yeah,
soon.
oh, soon,
Can't
yeah,
leave it another 2
absolutely.
years.
Can I wear Mark
Right.
boots next time?
Yeah, we'll do it. We'll do a very sloppy one next time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you for tuning in to Property Talk from Louise's Lounge. We hope you've enjoyed today's chat and saw some insights into our winning combination. And as usual, if you have any questions for us, if you have any suggestions or topics you would like us to discuss in the future, please do get in touch. We'd love to hear from you, and tune in again soon. Thank you.